Hello, everyone. I am Matthew Thomas with the Super Cool Radio, back with another interview. My guest at this time, he is part of a band that recently signed with Pavement Music. They are national touring glam rock and roll boogie woogie, known as the Midnight Devils. He is the bassist and vocalist, Sam Spade.
What's up? How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. How about you?
I'm doing absolutely great. Yeah.
I want to kick this interview off with a very fun question because, as I said, part of a national touring band, you've played with a bunch of different bands. Who are like some bands that you've played with that people should really check out?
Uh, we've played with a ton of bands, and I was thinking the cool thing about the Midnight Devils is that we not only play with bands, but we match really well with like performance artists or acts or anything that's on the fringe of what is considered like normal. So we played with like death match wrestlers. That's one of our big ones, is like guys that come out and there's no ring and they beat the hell out of each other with like baseball bats and neon lights, and that's like our money. So stuff like that, drag queens at drag shows, we do really well. Midget wrestling, all these really crazy things that we get to be a part of. And you wouldn't think it would work so well, like the fire spinners, the air acrobatics. It's so much fun. And we kind of decided, like, hey, anybody can put on a show. Anybody can grab a couple bands to play with. We're going to do shows that are just beyond like events, stuff that's just you would never see. We got the balls to do it. We're going to do it. As far as bands are concerned, we toured with the Choir Boys before the virus hit, and that was like I remember when I was 16 watching videos of the Choir Boys playing at like Castle Donington, and then fast forward like 10 years, 20 years later, like we're hanging out with them at the bar, we're drinking with them, we're touring with them. It is a beyond cool feeling to have, and you just kind of like pinch yourself, and you're like, that's the same guy that was playing to 100,000 people in Donington. And now we're talking about normal stuff, like our lives, our families, and stuff like that.
No, that's really cool. Like to see like people like, oh, I want to, just see them live in concert, but actually get to actually play with people you grew
Mm-hmm.
up like watching and listening to. That's just incredible.
Yeah. So bands like that was like a big touring act. The bands that we love are like the straight up glam bands or punk bands. A band from New York called the Erotics. We had so much fun. We went up to their hometown, and it was like a house bar in New York. The bars are like houses, and it was the singer's birthday. They brought in like 30 people into this house bar, packed it in there, and everybody just had a blast, man. And those are the kind of shows that we love. Is really the ones that are just almost like it's almost like that punk rock feeling where there's no difference between the crowd and the band, and everybody's there. They look great. Everybody's just having a blast. That's our bread and butter right there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially like those smaller shows, I don't know, they just seem to have like more energy and just
Yep.
like everyone wants to be there.
Like the way it used to be, like when you were 18 or whatever, you do we in my hometown, we would book out like the local VFW or whatever and play the shows, but nobody was old enough to drink. So they would all watch the band play, and then during the break, the set change, they would go outside and drink in the parking lot or whatever. And inevitably the cops would show up. It'd be this whole big thing, and that's the kind of energy that we love doing.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. And honestly, like listening to you guys' music, like just going back to what you said about like with deathmatch wrestling, midget wrestling, drag shows, and all that stuff. Your music fits into
Yeah.
just that kind of just like misfit kind of just doesn't really fit in any kind of certain genre. It's just like this sounds really cool, and now you have like a performance art to put a soundtrack to.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing, is that we are, even though we are like we are a glam rock band, we're straight ahead. I mean, if you took all the makeup off, it's three guys playing rock music. That's easy. But we get put on these bills with like death metal bands and all these super heavy bands or any kind. And so it's like a challenge for us to win over crowds within the first song or second song, because we'll walk out, looking ridiculous. People are like, I don't know about this. I don't know, who are these guys, and who are these girls? I don't fucking know. And you have that challenge to win them over, and inevitably we always do, because it's just that energy is uncontrollable, and people latch on to that, and they're like, we're going for this ride, we're going to do this thing.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I've also heard this, when you emailed me about this, I heard that you have in the works that you're going to be working with Japanese metal band Loudness.
Yeah.
How excited are you to actually work with, to tour with them?
That's another one of those dream come trues. And I've been telling people, like, I don't do anything. We don't get like breaks. Like, we don't get favors done to us. All it is kind of luck. Like, I'll go out there and scour and email and email and email. I'll get 100,000 no's, but I'll get one yes. And that was one of the yeses, is that they were looking. It was in 2020. We were supposed to do that tour. October, it was supposed to go out. And we got back from the Choir Boys tour. We were sitting at home just like everybody else. I saw this tour was going to happen. I emailed the guy. He's like, yes, we would like him. I'm like, oh, I called the guys up and I'm like, we're going on tour with Loudness. This is going to be the third shows at the Whiskey A Go Go, the legendary Whiskey A Go Go. And I'm like, we'll take it. We're going to do this. And that's like, the other guys in the band are huge fans. If you've met our guitar player, Chris Heinlein, he plays like a star, like Akira Takasaki does. So he's a huge, huge fan. So for them, it's an incredibly big opportunity.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a killer lineup, killer tour. You guys with Loudness, and for anyone not familiar with Loudness, like what can they expect for this late 2021 tour with Loudness?
It is a month-long tour, coast to coast and back. So it's like the big swirl around the country. And I've heard that Loudness hasn't been in the States for, I don't know, years now. Every time they've been booked to come in, their visas get canceled. So everybody's like looking forward to it. They've canceled 2 or 3 times already. So they're like 500 seat venues all across the country. And it's their 20th. They're celebrating 20 or 30 years from there's some big anniversary of a record. I think it's 30 years since like Beast in the East or something was released. So they're like, everybody goes, oh, I love Loudness, but they have never toured in the States for 10 years. So we're going to make up for that lost time. And for us to be on the bill, it's huge. People are going to be there. And I think it's perfect timing if it all goes as planned. Like, my fingers are crossed. Perfect timing, October 2021. Concerts are starting to happen. I think this is the perfect time for a tour of that size to go out.
Yeah, I really hope it works out for you guys. I know we still got some couple months in between, and I really hope everything starts to trend in the right direction.
And that's what we had a manager that pushed it before we even got hooked up with this manager. We landed the Loudness gig. He goes, that's perfect. The Japanese culture, you guys would fit in so well with the Japanese, because everything's kind of a performance art there as well with the makeup and everything. He goes, this is the best opportunity for you guys to start pushing Japanese hashtags and all of your stuff. Do this. And we're like, we'll get to this, but we're hooked up really big with Enough's Enough, and they're huge in Japan. So we're just trying to push that as far as we can to be like, hey, we're ready to go to Japan. Let's go. Got the passports,
I think it would be really cool. I mean, and honestly, I do agree. You guys fit with, as a performance art, just like with Japanese cultures, they're heavily influenced with performing arts. So I think, honestly, Midnight Devils in Japan sounds awesome.
Exactly. That's what we're hoping. And I think it would be beneficial for everybody, because we would match. And that's kind of what they're saying is, if they don't know what Enough's going to do, they want a big reunion, but it's almost like they're taking the new guys under their wing to kind of sprout and grow those branches. Because I've been saying this to a lot of people, like, what happens when, like, Def Leppard and Motley Crue and everybody, what happens when they retire? Who's left? It's got to be the new guys. It's got to be the new crew coming in and taking over for the old guard that left.
Yes, for sure. Well, if they ever decide to officially retire, yes, there is. You have to have a younger generation, and yeah, we got to have bands like you guys with that kind of performance art, glam rock style to become the next generation.
Yep. Who's going to be filling arenas in 15 years? That's what I want to know. Like, it's not going to be Def Leppard or Poison. They're going to be gone.
Very true. Very true. Definitely not saying they're old or anything.
No.
But no, yes, you're right. I mean, you got to look forward into the future. Who's going to be and who's going to be the next generation? I think you guys are definitely ready to step up to that plate.
Yep. And it's all about making those moves. I realized early on that, like, you have to pay your dues, especially in this business. Nobody's going to give you anything for free. You have to go out and get it and work for it. And it's just you just take that little step up every time. Like everything we do, we think like, is this step in the right direction, or are we going backwards? We're always going to make that step up and try and push it as hard as we can.
For sure. I think that just goes with like life too, is you got to look as am I going to am I going to advance or am I going to go back down to where I was? And that's really the ultimate decision. Is this going to help me or hurt me in the long run?
Mm-hmm.
And just like you said, and very relatable with me too, I've sent out a lot of emails like for guests and stuff, and usually it's a lot of no's or I usually get no responses, but occasionally I get good contacts, and this is how we get great interviews with Sam Spade of Midnight Devils and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'd seen your the interview you did with the Almas, and we were just talking to them. I was just talking to Crystal like 2 days ago about doing some shows in the Midwest together. So like I love that band. I think they're a great rock and roll band. I think that putting us together would be entertaining. It'd be fun. It'd be wild.
That would be a hard rock and high energy show with
Right.
both of you guys.
And that's what we're thinking. Like I've been saying this to a lot of people too. Like, okay, once the virus ends, we need to put together a package tour, much like bands did. Like there was a tour in '91. It was Warrant, Trickster, and Firehouse. And it turned out to be the biggest tour of 1991. And I listened to a podcast and go, why aren't we doing that right now with bands on our level? So you put 3 bands together that could just cross the country and give people a reason to be excited. And I would say, like, fuck your stadium tour, although I love Motley Crue and Poison, but you bill it as that. Fuck your stadium tour. This is where the real rock and roll is. It's these guys that are out on the road busting their hump every night. And the Almas work so hard, you know, just like any other band. So I think that's something I'm working on, like a plan for the future.
And I would really like to see, you guys with the Almas. I've talked to them; they're super nice people too, and just real hard rockers too. Like their latest album, Truth Sells, such a hard rocking album.
And we've done it. We've done, I think, 1 or 2 shows with them, and just had a great time, an absolute blast. We were up in Wisconsin and did a big party with those guys.
Yeah, I did like a 45-minute interview with them, but I was talking to them for like over an hour, like outside of the interview. They're just so cool.
And then I'll tell you the good thing about them, the thing that I respect most, like they work very hard and they'll go out and play shows, do these tours, like sleep in their van or sleep in the Walmart parking lot and all this stuff. Like they're hardcore. And that's scores a lot of points in my book because they're actually real. And that's how it's supposed to be done.
Yeah, they're really driven and very motivated.
Yep.
So looking forward to all the cool stuff and all the cool shows you're working to put together because they sound really awesome, my man. Yep. But going back to you, because I'm interviewing you, kind of just taking it way back. When did you know you wanted to become a musician?
I was really 16, about 16, 8th grade when it hit me. And I grew up in a small town here in Nebraska. I went to like a private school. So it was a Christian private school. And they showed us these videos of, it was called Hell's Bells. It was a propaganda video of how rock and roll was the devil's music. And if you listen to it, if you played the records backwards, if you studied the covers of these bands, like they were promoting Satan worship. And I was like, that's fucking cool. That's really cool. Like, I don't believe it, but I like the idea. And that's really what hooked me in, is that it wasn't for my parents. It wasn't for my friends. My friends didn't get it, but I got it. And my buddy brought in Detroit Rock City, the Kiss song. And like the first time you hear your favorite band, you remember that all the time. Whoever your favorite band is, the first time you hear that song, you're like, boom, I get it. And my teachers hated it. My parents thought I was like worshiping the devil and everything like this. I'm like, no, I'm just really into Kiss. I'm really into rock and roll music. And they're like, you can't wear those shirts to school because it's Knights in Satan service. But that pushed me farther to go, I really like this, and I've kind of found a home and an outlet for what I want to do. And I joined my first band like 2 years later. I got a guitar. My parents bought me a guitar. Joined my first touring band 2 years later, and I never looked back. And there was never a question of looking back and be like, should I do this or should I not do this? This is what it is. It gets in your blood, and you have to keep going. And I think that's the best advice somebody gave us, is they're like, even if you're the worst band in the world and you stick together for 30 years, you'll be known as that band that stuck together for 30 years. So it was really early on, and music had always touched me. So it was like, I grew up on the Beach Boys and Elvis, and that's kind of where that boogie woogie influence comes from in our music. Is that I really like that old school rockabilly style '50s sound.
Yeah, for sure. And it's kind of funny seeing those like propaganda videos
Hmm.
and like, it's Satan worship and all that stuff. It's just kind of funny looking back and seeing that just how like seriously they took this
Yeah,
idea. I mean, it's just kind of funny to me.
they're like listening to the songs backwards and stuff like that. They're like, "Did you hear that? It said Satan, kill, say hail Satan." And I was like, "I don't think so. I don't think that." And I kind of knew enough to be like, these guys are just dudes, that are they're partying and they don't care about worshiping Satan. They want to go out and make money and have fun and play rock and roll music. But my teachers and everything were just hell bent on this. They showed it every day in school, it seemed like.
And just looking back, like I mean, like Kiss, Motley Crue, and bands like that really got like this is Satan worship, even
Mhm.
though it's just like hard rock music that like honestly looking back compared to like some music nowadays, it was
Right.
actually like tame compared to back then.
And I get it now. Like I get it. And we've had even bands like not bands but parents comments like we had an article in the paper written about us like the devils are coming to town. Like you gotta hide your children, hide your daughters and everything because the devils are coming in. And these guys dressed in makeup were gonna come promote their I don't know, their ideals or whatever. But I get it because people are scared. We look crazy. People are scared, but that's part of the show. And especially with bands like Ghost or anything like that, it's about pushing that envelope. It's about pushing an idea and making that idea come to life.
Yeah, and just like I mean, one of my favorite artists is Alice Cooper, and it's well
Yeah,
documented with my interviews. But like he was pushing the boundaries like back in like the early. Oh, wait, you gotta
yeah,
nice. Oh, that looks cool, man. Yeah, and he was like pushing the boundaries back in like the early '70s. I mean, he shot a dummy out of a cannon of
yeah.
himself. I mean, like stuff like that. It's more than just seeing someone play music. It was a show.
Hmm. I love Alice Cooper too. One of my absolute favorites. I think he wrote the book on how to shock and awe an audience. And I've seen him a bunch of times. I've seen him on that tour. He did a tour where he opened for Motley Crue, right?
Oh, yeah, I saw that too. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm like, man, Alice Cooper comes out, fucking destroys the place. He's cutting heads off. There's electricity, and Motley Crue comes out, and I was like, what? That was it? Like, how do you follow Alice Cooper? There's no possible way. It's incredible, and the show, and really, it's just a complete sensory overload, and that's what I love about rock and roll.
Yeah, I mean, it just going back to that tour. I mean, he got his head chopped off. He had a snake on stage.
Yeah,
He got in a straitjacket. Just all the like insane ideas, and yet he makes it all work. And there's
mhm.
continuity with everything.
And it's all like out of his brain, out of his creative mind of how can I push this farther? Or I don't even know if he's pushing it on purpose, but that's what he's created. And I love that he's created such an spectacle or an over the top performance just out of his mind.
Yeah, and for doing it for so long, and that he keeps changing his like set list and all of his visuals, so that when you see him, it's never stale. It's always something different.
Yep, he wrote the book, and we are really fans. First of all, we're fans, so we really watch these bands and how they do stuff. Whether it's Alice Cooper, whether it's Kiss, whether it's Van Halen, they wrote the blueprint on how to be in a great rock and roll band. So I follow that. Me and the guys in the band, we follow that to the T. How do you book a tour? How do you write a record? Do all these things that the guys before you did because it worked.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, these legends really have laid down just the foundation
Yes.
of what it is to be a successful band and how to do it.
Hmm.
And we just got to look what they did, and obviously had to change and accommodate for modern times, but the blueprint is still there, as you said.
And it works, and I see it working every day. And really, what pushed us out of our comfort zone was Jimmy, our drummer, was like, there's two things. It's like the first one was like, okay, we're gonna be not just your average '80s hair band. That's not us. We're like this hyper glam rock, glitter, lipstick, tutus, these robes, all that. It's over the top. It's anything you can think of. You take that times 10, and that's what separates us. And then the other thing was, he goes, let's take the band out of the Midwest and just we're gonna lose a ton of money. We're gonna book shows ourselves, DIY punk rock style, but we're gonna go to LA. We're gonna go to New York, and that's what's gonna separate us from it. We're gonna make this jump. and it worked. Like, we lost a ton of money, but we made it out to LA. We played the Viper Room. We played in Vegas. Like, we've done some cool stuff because we took that leap of faith.
You have to. I mean, there's staying where you are. I mean, you can build a little bit of foundation, but you really have to expand and go different places to really get your name out there. I mean, as you said, you're probably going to lose money, trying to go all over the place, but at least people will know you, and that's like
Yep.
your foundation to build your audience.
Yep. And you know that there's guys and girls in every city and every like kind of area that are into, say, glam rock or Kiss, or they're into these weird expression performances. And you just got to find those people and play there, engage that audience, and it'll start building. And so the next time you come through, there's 20 more people, and you just got to find your audience and push it.
Yeah, for sure. You got to identify what your kind of special niche is and just go for it. I mean, obviously, I think you guys have a little bit of an advantage because you don't have to play at necessarily a concert. As you said, you could play at a deathmatch show or a midget wrestling show or something like that.
Yeah, and that's the really cool thing, is that we cross those boundaries of we're not of punk rock and glam. It mixes together to where we're not above like playing a house show. We're not above playing in a basement or out in a field at a skate park. Those have turned into the funnest shows that we've ever done.
Yeah, I know there's probably some bands who won't take bookings like that, but obviously you guys will, and that's how you've been expanding and building on what you guys have now.
Yep, and it's working.
And just get a little bit of background about the Midnight Devils. How did that band come together, and how did you choose the name the Midnight Devils?
We came from Chris, our guitar player, was in. We were in like an '80s hair metal tribute band out of Omaha, and we had done some shows. We've done a ton of shows. The band had been around forever. I had been in the band since I was 20, and like as the road manager, tour manager, I got called up to the bass player. Chris was the guitar player. But at the end of the day, we weren't the bosses of that band. We weren't like the calling the shots. And really, I feel when you're in a cover band, you kind of plateau at a certain level. And there's only so far you can really take it. The money's great, the shows are cool, but at the end of the day, you're like playing other people's songs, and that, as an artist, kind of sucks. You're like counting your money, going, "This is great," but it's other people's songs, and there's only so far you can go. So we decided that we would take it out and be like a 2-man acoustic group. So we did the hair, the makeup, and everything. Went to these small town bars all through the Midwest playing 2-man acoustic. It was hard. It was terrible. Guys looking like us walking into a small town bar, not the funnest time, And we're like, we got to make this electric. And we brought in a drummer. The drummer didn't work out. So we booked this. We got put on the Rocklahoma tour. We got put on the Rocklahoma Festival, and we booked a tour around it. I go, okay, this is our first big tour. And the drummer lasted like 3 days. And on the 4th day, he played the show, walked out of the venue. This was in Kansas City. Walked out of the venue, never heard from him again. Nothing. I'm like, we're on our way to the biggest festival of our lives, 100,000 people. We got no drummer. And we got a hold of Jimmy, and he goes, I would love to do it. I'll learn the songs in the van. You just got to come from Kansas City to Chicago, pick me up, and we'll get back to the rest of the tour. So we rented a car, drove 24 hours straight, and made the rest of the tour work. And I couldn't believe it. And on the way back home, he's like, I think this is really working out great. Let's just keep going. And so he would ride the bus, the Greyhound bus, 9 hours from Chicago to Omaha, get in our tour bus, and we go out and do shows, and then get on the Greyhound and drive back to Chicago. It was just insane. The first year, he was in Omaha every weekend, but he had to ride the Greyhound bus every week. And it was really, really cool. That's kind of where we started. The name actually came from with that other band we put out an album called just Midnight Devils. And I thought, well, I always wanted to be in a band like the Rolling Stones, the Who, the Clash, the Misfits. That's it. We just put the in the front of
it. Changes everything. No, very cool. And also, a lot could have went wrong without, just having a drummer just completely leave, and not hear from. But you guys made it work. I mean, obviously driving 24 hours, I don't really like driving that much. So driving 24 hours, it's insane, but you got it done.
It was just like, there was no question. It was just like, yeah, I can do it. Just come pick me up. And I was like, cool, I'm on my way to the rental car place. I didn't even think about it. So I got in the car, and I'm like, man, I've never driven in Chicago. I don't know where I've never even met this guy. you know, and I went and picked him up, and then we had 7 hours to get to know each other on the way back home, and he had learned all the songs just by earphones. And we got up and played these massive shows at Rocklahoma.
I mean, for all the factors that could have went wrong, it worked out perfectly for you
Yep.
guys.
Yep. And it was just that's how it is with this band, is that nothing ever is easy for the Midnight Devils. It's always like a big something always goes wrong. We have to overcome this giant hurdle just to play a show. And I've come to expect it, that there's something ridiculous is going to happen, and something that out of left field is gonna derail the situation. We always just have to figure out how to get over it.
Yeah, you just have to adapt and figure out a solution. I mean, that's just with everything too. I mean, that's the mindset you have to have for just anything you do.
Yeah, you're like, it's only credit cards. We can pay those back over the next 5 years. No big deal.
Yeah, and some of these aren't even my credit cards, so we're good. All right, so also in 2018, you guys released, I believe, your debut album.
Yep.
Something Bigger. How was it writing and recording your debut album?
It was good. It was a lot of, we learned a lot on that record. I never really set out to do my own record or do it. We were all calling the shots, you know. Before, in other bands, like, there was other guys calling the shots. This was the first time that we were like, we got to take the reins and make this happen. So you learn how to write songs, how to write good songs, how to record these songs. We did everything in Omaha at a studio called 2520 Studios, and we had a good producer. Everything went great, and it was just like the learning process. How do you get art done? Who do you even call to get album art done? I had no idea. Who do you call to get 1,000 CDs printed? Where do you put you just learn all these things, you know, and we did it all ourselves. And that's the most exciting part, that we learned what to do and what not to do. So now here we are 2 years later thinking, okay, we got to fix the mistakes that we did on the last one and try and make this one even better. So I think that the first album was great. Our first step out into the world, showing, hey, we're the fucking Midnight Devils. This is us. We did all this ourselves. Let's keep going. Now with the next one, everybody's watching. You know, the pressure's on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I really enjoyed your debut album. You definitely announced your presence coming out with this album, and I'm really looking forward to your follow-up. I mean, Pink Halo, really fun song. I really enjoyed, you had a music video with it as well. How was it like making that music video?
It was a blast. We had come up with the idea of, let's do, like, we spend so much time around each other in the bus, and we're like, we just kind of bounce ideas off each other. And that was one of the ideas. Let's do like a fake drug deal, but make it funny. We wanted the music video to be like the Foo Fighters used to put out, these videos that were funny and entertaining and not take ourselves super seriously. So that was the idea. And we made these cool, like, kilos of glitter cocaine. And I still got one, like, right over here. Like, they're sitting on my glitter cocaine.
That's awesome, man.
And we would, like, drive around with these kilos in my car, and it was so crazy. And we had glitter joints that we had rolled, and we used rock candy that was like blue rock candy. And the whole idea, we wrote the script, we did this, we found the director, it was perfect. And the funny thing was, my mom saw it, right? And she goes, I don't know if you guys are trying to be funny or not, but you know, that's a lot of illicit drug use in your video. I was like, Mom, it's glitter. That's the whole joke. You're missing the entire joke. She's like, well, I just don't like it. I just don't like it. It's like, well, if my mom doesn't like it, that's cool. That's not a big deal. So it was good.
I think the music video turned out really cool. I'm very funny. I do like the connection with the Foo Fighters. I remember "Learn to Fly" by the Foo Fighters. Yeah, no, it's really cool. I mean, you have to have fun with the music videos, and if your parents don't approve, then you're doing something right.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah, yep. They're like, I don't like that you guys are smoking weed in the video. I'm like, we're not smoking weed. It's glitter. Jimmy's snorting cocaine. I'm like, he's not snorting cocaine. It's just glitter. There's a gun in the video. Okay, the gun was real, but whatever. The guys in my band are they're Army veterans. So Sniper, the guitar player, and Jimmy are both they both served overseas in Iraq and Afghanistan. So we were just sitting there. The gun wasn't even in the script. If you watch the video, and he goes, do you think I should use this gun in the video? I was like, I don't know. He's like, well, I'm going to. So he puts that. Okay, cool.
Well, I guess we're gonna do it now.
Yeah.
But no, I think it turned out very well, very funny, and you're not doing drugs. We're just doing glitter. Hope
It's
that's
just
not a street
glitter.
name for anything. But yeah, no, very fun, and it really just tied in, just like the whole thing, and honestly the whole album too. It really just tied into everything.
Yeah, it was cool, and they really brought. I can't give the director enough credit. Aaron Gum is his name, out of Omaha. He really, I had the idea, I had the script, he brought it to life, and he did everything to really capture our vision. And that's cool to have somebody that gets on board and knows what you want to do. And I don't even think I talked to him that much prior to the video even getting shot. And he's just like, get the locations, do this, do this. We found an actress, and man, he just knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, for sure, and you can hit up Sam Spade if you want a kilo of glitter.
I got one sitting right over here.
Autograph that and sell it.
Glitter, you should have seen, like, so we shot it. We shot it at I work at a strip club, right? And even at a strip club, you think, okay, there's gonna be a lot of glitter around. But the night that we shot it was like a Saturday night, and there was piles and piles of glitter everywhere. And the girls were like, "What the hell are you guys doing?" We're like, "We're shooting a music video. Don't worry." But it was just everywhere. You couldn't get it off. Like, it wasn't. You couldn't get it off. The girls were covered in it. All the customers were covered in it. Every time they'd walk and get on their shoes, and they'd get all over the place. I'm like, this is the way video should be shot.
For sure. I mean, glitter is always very hard to handle anyway because it does get everywhere. So
Yeah,
you get it on everybody else and yourself. I mean, that's pretty funny.
it was great.
And so for anyone who hasn't listened to Something Bigger, what can they expect from this album?
It's a cool mix of I call it boogie woogie, glam rock boogie woogie, but it's a cool mix of our influences, whether it's Kiss, Van Halen, but we also came from that punk rock background too. That so it's like the Ramones, the Sex Pistols, the Clash, all these guys. That's really like the backbeat, the heart and soul is that it's this cross where I grew up listening to the New York Dolls, to Kiss, and I bring that element in. Our guitar player Chris is a Van Halen nut, so he's really the musical leader and director, and is this incredible guitar virtuosity that he brings to the table and keeps us all. He was the one that keeps us in line. He's like, you guys got to practice. If you fuck up on stage, you're gonna hear about it. You know what's gonna happen. Like, you don't want to get on his bad side. Where Jimmy's like the guy that he'll be smoking a joint back behind the drums, just going to town. I'm like, okay, it's like the perfect mix of everything that we love: punk rock, Van Halen, glam. It's just that cool mix. And then we throw in, because I never had heard this, but we throw in that kind of faster Pussycat style boogie woogie. So you make that sleazy rockabilly. So imagine like Elvis Presley and Jerry Lee Lewis, but they're wearing pink lipstick. That's what it is, you know.
I think that's a perfect representation of the Midnight Devils because I agree it does have you guys have that sleaziness too, but I say that in the highest compliment.
No, we love that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just some sleazy rock and roll, glam rock, and there's definitely some punk rock undertones in there
Yeah.
as well.
And we're always big on writing the hooks, writing the big choruses, and we want our crowd to sing along as soon as they possibly can. And that's really what we go for, is write these massive, massive anthem hooks.
Yeah, I couldn't say it any better. Like it has that ability to sing and actually like know the words and know everything that's going on to like almost like the whole song too.
Yep, like since the first time you hear it, you're like, I get it. I understand what they're doing.
Hope everyone is enjoying my interview with Sam Spade of the Midnight Devils. As you can see, I am. But we're going to take a quick break and feature a teaser for Pink Halo. This is off their debut album, Something Bigger. Take a listen.
She's my pretty little devil with the pink halo. Let's get a little wild before we get too old. She's my pretty little devil with the pink halo. Whoa, yeah, do anything it takes to make my heart race. Whoa, yeah.
I have some huge news that I heard about a couple days ago. It was announced. I saw it on your Instagram page. So Midnight Devils has officially signed with Pavement Music out of Chicago, Illinois.
Yes.
How is that? They just signed with Pavement Music.
It was the most stressful thing in my life, for like a week because we had been fiercely independent, and we've turned down a few record labels, but we've gotten turned down by like 1,000 record labels, you know. So I was to the point where I'm like, it's a point of pride for me when a record label turns me down. I go, that's cool. I don't really care because I don't need you. And then our booking agent was like, the Pavement Records is interested. And I was like, we'll see what's up. And he sent me an email, and the guy said the exact same thing you did. He goes, I love that you guys are a cross between punk and glam, and that it's different and it's new, and I think you guys would have a great fit. So he said the right things to me, and it will help your touring. So we were always about like, how can we take it one step further? And it was good, but it was stressful at the same time. So like once we got this contract signed and everything done, I was like, whoo, like we're officially, for the first time in my life, I'm an officially signed artist, and I've never been able to say that before. And it kind of opens your eyes. You're like, I got to do things a little differently now. We're not kids anymore. We're at the big time. Let's make this work. But I was talking to a friend too. I said it was a gamble. We don't know, but we're going to take that gamble every time. We're going to take the gamble, whatever it is, to try and push our band. And the least you can do is fail, and you're going to take another gamble down the road. That's what it was. And Tim from Pavement brought us in. Has just been incredible so far. It's been a week, and he's already sending me messages like, hey, we're going to try and get your songs on these movies, like these horror movies. Hey, we got this tour opportunity, and it's only been a week. We haven't even put out anything yet. So it's cool. It's very exciting, and everybody's been so supportive so far.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about Pavement. I know my friends Ditchwater, they're signed with Pavement as well. And yeah,
good. They did good for him.
That's what I've heard so far. Yeah, they recently signed, I think, early 2020. So yeah.
Yeah, I work at a record store here in Lincoln, and my boss, I showed him. I go, look at this, the list of the bands on, and that was one of the bands. He goes, oh, they're signed to that label. I was like, yeah. And Puddle of Mud and Head PE and Power Man 5000. So I'm like, okay, we're in good company with these guys.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, like horror movies and Midnight Devils, that honestly sounds like a good combination.
Yeah.
I'm a huge horror fan.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. We just submitted a couple. We had done it before, and it was really cool. Like Sniper and I went to the video premiere, and we sat through this whole movie, like this 80s horror movie, and right in the middle of the movie, they played our song, and I was like, oh, this is the coolest thing ever. Like we were in the movie theater, and they were playing our songs. Kind of a cool thing to witness. Super nerdy though, you know.
Yeah, I mean, but that's a very cool and proud achievement. I mean, obviously, I got a song in a movie, and I'm actually watching this movie along with everybody else. That's a really cool moment.
It at the end, does it going by really fast?
Yeah. So no, hey, it sounds like you got a lot of cool things in the works. I think you're with, from what I've heard, a very good record label with Pavement. So I'm really looking forward to everything that you guys have coming up as well.
Yeah, and the cool thing is that they were out of Chicago, and that was one of our big things is like, okay, they're local. So we're heading out in like 2 weeks to go start recording the next record. I was like, well, this guy can come down actually to the studio and watch us record this record, and we can actually talk and meet face to face. And these guys, they have such a good track record already, and they're in with our agency that it's just like a whole big thing that's going to help us, I feel, in the long run.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously, you guys got yourself this far already being independent, but sometimes you need a little push from outside people to get you guys' stuff higher up.
Right. And
So,
I had been burned. We signed with a booking agency out of Florida, right? So maybe 2 years ago, this agency was interested in us. We signed with them. They didn't book us for anything. And it really soured me. Like, we spent all this money to get on their agency. They didn't book us one show. Not one show. We were still sending out emails, driving in the bus, like booking shows, calling venues. And we're like, why are we doing this? We're on an agency. Shouldn't a guy be doing this? And it makes me feel like I'm very reserved when it comes to handing over control to anybody else. Because we're so involved. This is what we do every day. It's not just a show.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. You have to be with good hands. I've heard about a lot of either record labels or promoters or booking agencies that really screwed over talent just by just not doing anything.
Yep, and that's the thing. That's the thing that our manager says. He's like, the only people that get screwed in this business are the talent. I'm like, man, terrible way. He goes, so I don't know. There's no good. There's no bad. You just got to kind of roll with it, and hopefully something works out.
Yeah, that's I've never heard someone actually say that, but actually when you break it all down, like the people providing the entertainment and music are the people who don't get paid.
Yep, that's exactly it.
It's kind of sad, and I've
Yeah. So I think Pavement's a good move for us. I think it's a big enough label where they're not going to screw us over. That I feel that strongly.
yeah, and I think they have a good track record, at least with bands I've talked to on Pavement, that they're actually live up to their end of the bargain.
Cool. I'm excited.
I am for you guys too, but I got a cool question for you because I know you listen to a lot of different styles of music and a lot of different influences. But what music have you been listening to this week, Sam?
This week, I've been. What were we doing? So I do listen to a ton of music all the time because I'm a DJ at a strip club. I do it 5 or 6 nights a week, right? And so you're like, I'm stuck listening to just the worst strip club music, but it's over and over. And I've got it down to a science where I know how to make a party happen and how it to pop off. And you got to play these terrible tunes, but it'll make the crowd go wild. They'll drink, the girls will make money. So I get it. I'm not above playing anything. But the bands that I've been loving are the stuff that sounded really good was like the Wild Hearts. Are you familiar with the Wild Hearts?
I'm not, no.
It's like a UK band. It's another cross band that crosses punk. And they were really big in like the 90s. They're billed as like, we're going to be the next Rolling Stones. And it never happened. But it's a band called the Wild Hearts. I've been listening to, what was I listening to just today? Elvis. For some reason, Elvis like does it for me every time. And I watched something about, I'm really interested. I love music and I'm interested in the other side of it. So I was listening to podcasts about like the tour manager for the Rolling Stones or the Grateful Dead. And I'm interested in the Grateful Dead. I don't know if I necessarily like their music, but the way that the counterculture and the way that they created a whole living being out of this band, you know, like where people would travel to all these shows and like it was just, but in the end, it was like 5 guys that would take acid and play music, and it turned into this monster of a rock and roll band. That's the kind of stuff that interests me is like the other side. Not, I love the music, but it's like the other side. How did we get here?
Yeah, for sure. Just hearing the stories and like the how it actually all came to be. I mean, like that like acid rock of whatever the Grateful Dead was just so huge that, as you said, like so many people actually just follow them around the country, like going to show after show just to see them.
I find it so interesting, and especially like the Rolling Stones changed the whole dynamic on how bands toured. In '69, they were the biggest band in the world. They took it from the Beatles. They were the world's greatest rock and roll band. Well, how did they get there? What did they do to get there? And then what happened after that? They became even bigger. You know, I'm really interested in that history. And it's not like almost you're telling those tales and you're like just taking little pieces and going like, I can use that. I can use that. It's so inspirational to me to just listen to that old those rock and roll stories. I love them. I work at a record shop, so guys will come in and tell me stories all day long. And that's like the coolest thing ever is they'll tell me these stories of, oh, I went and saw AC/DC. I just love hearing those rock and roll stories. That's like my thing.
Yeah, especially just for the Rolling Stones to like really blow up and like have that legacy that they're still building on too, that they are continue touring and all that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for sure. This week I've obviously been listening to you guys, Midnight Devils, and enjoying something bigger. And I've been listening to the Almas. I was listening to them like a couple days ago at work, so I was jamming them. Sum 41. I really enjoy them.
That was one that I just played them. The song, what is it? I played it at work the other night, and the whole place went crazy. What is one of their really big hits? Is
Fat Lip?
What?
Fat Lip?
No, deep. Is it deep in it or down in it?
Oh, I should know this. This is
the one from like the American Pie. They sounded great. So I'm playing Sum 41 to say a entire club full of 25 to 30-year-olds, and I pull that song up. Everybody knew it. Everybody knew it. They're like, "This is so much fun. This is great." I'm like, man.
Yeah, in too deep. It was in too deep.
In too deep. That's it. Yep.
Yeah. That was that's going a ways back. I think that was what their first album. I want to say that's a ways back.
But it killed it. It just slayed it. All the girls were dancing, having a blast.
That's what it should be. Like I saw them live, and it was a party, man. That was insane. Probably one of the most like just the rowdiness of the crowd. Like that was probably one of the for the longest time. Like I went to a lot of concerts, and the crowd didn't get as rowdy as when I saw Sum 41.
And I think I never got into pop punk like that, but I'm coming around, and I think that's an era of music that was. They'll start doing like documentaries and stuff because it was so influential to all of us growing up. I was never in a pop punk band. I never got to do that, but I would watch those guys and be like, they got so many girls at their shows. I'm over here playing in like a old school punk band. There's just dudes in leather jackets. These guys are playing to 300 girls every night, and they're making a career out of it, and they're touring all over. I think it was a really cool time that nobody's really talked about yet. Like late 90s going into 2000s.
Yeah, for sure. And just how it just really died off.
Yeah.
And never really got like a resurrection. I mean, there's still some bands still going, but really there's not a lot of new bands doing that pop punk style. It kind of just died off in the like probably I would say like late 2000s ish. I would say around there, and never really got a revival.
You know, like Blink-182 and all these cool bands, even like Green Day. I don't know if I consider Green Day, but Blink-182, Fall Out Boy, Sum 41, all those cool bands, they still sound really good. When I play them at the club, people still go crazy, you know?
Yeah, that's what I like. And their music was mainstream. It was in like almost like a bunch of movies. It was on the radio station. It was everywhere. And then just kind of fell off. You know, that whole genre fell off.
So I'm interested to see what happens. It's one of my go-to nows at the club every time.
Well, it's good to know if you're at a strip club and you're DJing it that Sum 41 is going to be on.
It's like Sum 41, Lit, My Own Worst Enemy, 182. They'll always get the crowd going. Same with if you play what's weird is Def Leppard, Pour Some Sugar on Me, will always get the crowd going, which I kind of think is a lame song. Well, as far as Def Leppard goes, like I think they wrote a ton of really cool stuff. That one's kind of just medium and not fast. But Kickstart My Heart by Motley Crue, you just write like I will play AC/DC Shook Me All Night Long every night, and people just go crazy. They sing along. It's a different. I put on a different strip club show than you would normally go and see.
I'm gonna have to check that out sometime. I'm probably gonna spend a bunch of money, but I'll have to check it out sometime.
And it's cool because the girls hate it. They don't know it. You know, they're all 20-something-year-old girls, and they're like, they just want to dance to Cardi B. And I'm like, no. You gotta trust me. Like, I will change the whole dynamic of this club by playing Girls, Girls, Girls or Cherry Pie. And all these dudes are gonna fucking love it.
Yeah, I'm gonna check you out because I haven't seen like strip clubs actually play music like that. That's other than like like generic pop music. So
yeah.
I'll have to check it out sometime if I'm in the area.
It's different. It's cool. Yeah, you're always invited anytime you want.
Sweet. I will definitely, if I'm in that area, I'll definitely check it out. But Sam, thank you so much for hanging out with me here on Super Cool Radio. I do got one more thing before I let you go. What can we expect from the Midnight Devils for the new year of 2021?
We are, like I said, in 2 weeks we're going to Chicago to record our sophomore release with Chips Enough from Enough's Enough is going to be producing the record, and that's going to be cool. Like our ducks are lining up. We got the label, we got the producer, we got the second record coming out. Cool, everything's lined up. The Loudness tour goes out in October, so right now we are kind of being patient to decide when is it safe for us to go back out on the road. Our priority number one is get the record done, put out a video. We're going to put out a vinyl record, and make it look really cool. I think vinyl's coming back huge. We're going to make a colored vinyl, whether it's a single or a full length, with some great art, and put that out for our fans. I think that's the way you have to do it. You have to make it look good, get all your graphics and everything together, and people will love that. So as far as touring plans, I'm not sure. April 1st or April 2nd, we're in Denver for a big festival. I think we got one scheduled in Baltimore in like Labor Day weekend, and we'll probably be out there for sure. The October thing with Loudness is on. We're just kind of waiting like everybody else.
Yeah, and then as I said, it looks like things are starting to trend in the right direction. So hopefully we get live shows and all that stuff will come back. Slowly, obviously, but hopefully it'll come back.
Yeah, we just don't want to do, and I don't know if you've seen this or not, but I don't want to play for the sake of playing. I see bands going out and they're doing shows, but it's like they got like the plexiglass shields in front of the whole stage, or it's social distance. I don't want to do that just for my own sake. Like, I want to be able to give the fans what they want, what they deserve. So I can be patient on that end and wait till things are safe and easy for everybody to go out.
Yeah, I talked to another musician about that, and he said he didn't want to tour because it's not the show that he wants to put on, because obviously you have like a person over there, person standing over there, and it's not fun because you can't really do as much.
Yep. And there are places that are open, so we're tossing around the idea of like, hey, we're just going to tour in the states or the cities that are open and just kind of make it happen. But then I also feel like then we're doing it just to tour, so I don't want to do it for the wrong reasons. For my personal reasons, I want to be able to do it for everybody so that we do it right.
Yeah, and doing it right, I think, is the most important thing.
Yeah, you don't want to rush it.
Especially right now, stuff still, it's tedious, but I think it's still the right decision.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to the new music you're working on. Congrats on signing with Pavement. If anyone hasn't checked out Something Bigger, please do so. It is awesome.
Yes, and we got our website, themidnightdevils.com. We have a bunch of merch up there. We just released a new hoodie line, and we'll be releasing new artwork, like signed artwork with personalized videos with it. But everything is shipped from me to you, so it's a very in-house punk rock operation.
Very cool. Make sure to check out their website. It looks very nice. I've checked it out before. It looks very professional, to be honest.
I put that together actually, and it sucked. It was terrible. I spent so much time just going, this is fucking terrible. I hate building websites. I've done it 3 times now, and I'm just like, this is the worst part about being in this band.
Yeah, I haven't built the website because I'm like, I don't really want to deal with this. I have my social medias, and I just kind of been rolling with that right now.
It just takes forever. It's just such a time-consuming thing.
Especially to make it look right, make all the links work, and have this all work. It is very time-consuming.
But a necessary evil. And I was like, well, I didn't want to hire anybody because I can do it myself. I just got to sit here and bite the bullet and make it happen.
That's right. Well, Sam, thank you so much for hanging out with me here on Super Cool Radio. Very extended interview. A lot of fun chatting with you. Please check out the Midnight Devils. Check out their website. Listen to their music. Please support Midnight Devils because they're really cool.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
For Sam Spade of the Midnight Devils, I'm Matthew Thomas with Super Cool Radio. Thank you for watching.